politics is now starting to forge new lines and new arguments. And just in case you didn't know, there are divisions within the Democratic Party and there are divisions within the Republican Party. I'm a part of the I wouldn't really consider myself a Democrat. I really consider myself an independent. But if I had to, I would say that I'm part of that Democratic Party that is for pro-worker, social democracy. And then there's the other part of the Democrats that are pro-corporate through and through. They're not for working people, they're for the rich. And so there's lines dividing, and also in the Republican Party, there are also divides. There is the corporate, like the corporate Democrat, there's the corporate Republican side. They're only about corporate interest, and they're about, the rich. And then there's another side of the Republican Party, which is working class. And that is, they're calling these things populist left, which would be what I would be. I'm about things that most people in America favor. And, Medicare for all, $15 an hour, single-payer health care, free college, council student debt, all of that. But you have people within the Republican Party that don't agree with those Republicans that say, hey, help out the rich and, give to corporations. You have a bottom part, the working class part of the Republican part, who are, yes, still conservative on social issues, but on the economic issues, agree with the left, the populist left part of the Democratic Party. And so now we're having these conversations where we know if corporate Democrats will not bend, people like Nancy Pelosi who've been in power for years and decades on end, and she just now within the last year or two, just now passing a $15 minimum wage. And you've been in office for decades. Now, after decades, now you think so? Nancy Pelosi has not even given us a vote on Medicare for all. Nancy Pelosi, the leading Democrat in the House, the Speaker of the House, has not even allowed for a vote on Medicare for all. So the corporate Democrats they are the enemy as well. And so now the conversation is starting to become, is it okay for populists like me who want a $15 minimum wage, who want a cancel student debt, who want all these economic policies? We don't have to agree on the social issues. Let's put the social issues on pause and let's deal with economics. Because I tell people all the time, Democrats and Republicans are the same. They're the two wings on the same bird. If you take away social issues, you wouldn't be able to tell a Democrat and Republican apart. If you take away black and the gay stuff and all these soft issues that has nothing to do with how what your income is like, does your child get a different school, all these social issues that the Democratic Party has co-opted and gutted from the inside. So historically, we wanted black representation in Congress because, you would say, okay, if a black person in office, they understand what it's like to be a black man, and they'll legislate understanding the experience of a black person. But what the Democratic Party has done, they've gutted that black representation, and that was being black in Congress was supposed to provide, because now they use identity politics as a way to stop progress. So if there's a progressive who is for a $15 minimum wage, the corporate side of the Democratic Party would be like, hey, you can't go up against this corporate black guy. This is a black guy. We care about, identity politics. And so that's how they use. So although, a minimum wage, increasing the minimum wage will help black people the most, the Democratic Party has co-opted black identity to say, hey, we got a black person in here. You can't be trying to primary or replace our black corporate guy, and so they've weaponized identity politics. And so now the conversation is, when is it okay for the populist left, who are for economic policies, working class, and liberal on social issues, is it time for us now to, when we can, cooperate with the bottom side of the populist right, on the right side with the Republicans? Because although us on the populist left disagree on the social issues, and the people on the populist right, they have their conservative issues, when it comes to economics, we're almost fighting for the same thing. People, there's even polls that show that Republicans, there's more Republicans that want Medicare for all than don't. There's a plurality that actually supports Medicare for all. Republicans, and this may seem surprising because people that consider themselves conservative or Republican, you would think that they're going towards Trump and that's what they're voting for. But a lot of people don't really understand the labels too much, and you will find that a lot of working class poor Republicans do support economic policies that would be considered leftist. And so I am in support of coming with populist right people on the issues that we actually agree with. We can fight each other all day over the social issues. I'm not willing to move on the social issues, but when it comes to economic policy, I am in favor of working with the populist right when we agree. We agree on the $15 minimum wage. Hey, let's get the populist left. Let's get the populist right. Let's go in on the $15 minimum wage. Let's call out the corporate Democrats. Let's call out the corporate Republicans. Because, we need real coalitions. And if we can't create that coalition with the corporate side of the Democratic Party or the Republicans, the corporate side of the Republican Party, we can form coalitions and alliances when we agree, like on Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, and economic issues, and halt social issues for just a little bit to get these. Because I really believe that if you can fix a lot of these economic issues and create wealth equality, for the vast majority of Americans, then and only then will people actually be able to come to a table and have a conversation with you about social issues. Because it's sometimes you have to put yourself in other people's shoes, and you got to imagine that if a person is racist, if a person is socially conservative, it's going to be hard to try to have a conversation with that person when that person is also struggling economically as well. It's going to be hard for them to hear about their white privilege, which they may have if they're poor, and it's going to be very hard for somebody to hear that when they're struggling financially. It's only going to invoke rage, because the person's going to be like, hey, I'm poor, where's this privilege? So, it just creates a problem. And so I think if we help with if we coalesce on the economic side, then, the social thing will, be able to, have room or have space for progress. And so that's the new, dichotomy that's going on. Populist left, anti-corporate, populist right, anti-corporate, forming coalitions where we agree to fight the Republican and Democrat corporate side of both parties. And I'm in support of that. Peace.